Yeah, good, thank you. Been a long while. This is daytime version now, guys. They took all the candles away. That's the girl I was talking to before. She used to work in the supermarket. Malaya, Korea, New Guinea. Oh yeah, people setting up. Crosses. Shit. Yeah. There's the big gun that's gonna blow my head off. No, I'm just joking. And we raised the flags up this morning. I think they've brought them back down again. They'll probably re-raise them later on at the service. They're all setting up, getting ready to start the parade, the little procession, the Anzac procession. Wow. Yeah, different way this year, guys. Used to go the other way. And a paid fine.
Oh.
Oh, very good, very good. As now the march has just arrived, guys. We are now coming in for the service. There's the Found You band over there setting up. The lady there going to be singing.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Guy wearing the badges. We've got some school students representing the school in town. Some people, some singers, people going to say speeches. Some guys at the flag.
Hello.
Get out of the way, will you? And
Let's go play.
Can everybody hear okay? Just before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and recognise their continuing connection to this land, its waters and culture. We pay respect to the elders, past, present and emerging. Our service this morning begins with the mounting of the Sanitary Guard with the Scouts of Castlemaine. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, welcome to the Castlemaine 2023 Anzac Day commemoration to serve to defend Australia. This year marks the 108th anniversary of the Anzac landing on the Gallipoli Peninsula. It was on the beaches and cliff faces of the Turkish shoreline that Australian and New Zealand troops fought side by side for the first time. Together, as part of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, or ANZAC, they saw sustained action over the 8 months of the Dardanelles campaign. Militarily, the Gallipoli campaign was a failure, and one that exacted an enormous human cost. Australian and New Zealand casualties were heavy and conditions were appalling. But out of that tragedy grew what has become to be known as the Anzac legend, characterised by courage, tenacity, initiative, determination and the spirit of heroism. The Anzac legend has become part of the national ethos of Australia and New Zealand. We see it in the spirit of unity, freedom, enterprise and equality that continues to define our nations. Similarly, we see it in the qualities of comradeship, self-sacrifice and good humour that define us as peoples. In the Australian tradition, Anzac Day is not a time for glorification, but for sombre reflection. Loss did not end there. The pain of their loss lived on in the hearts of all those who were robbed of a son, a husband, a father, a brother, a friend. While the resort to armed conflict is sadly sometimes unavoidable, Anzac Day is a time for us, all of us, to remind ourselves of the preciousness of peace. While the Anzac legend was born on the shores of a country far from our own, it faced one of its sternest ever tests, much closer to home. In Papua New Guinea, through the dark days of World War II, in places that have become now part of our shared history, places like Kokoda, Mill Bay, Hoona, Gona, and Bougainville, just to name a few. Anzac Day provides us with a reminder of the close and enduring links between Australia and Papua New Guinea. We must never forget the bravery of those Papua New Guineans who, at great risk to themselves, fought a controversial war that cost the lives of more than 500 diggers. Some 60,000 Australian servicemen and women took part in the protracted Vietnam conflict that began as a civil war between the North and the South until troops from the United States and Australia joined forces with the government of South Vietnam. Australia's decade-long involvement in the Vietnam War began with the first arrival of troops in July 1962, and its participation was formally declared at an end when the Governor-General issued a proclamation on January 11, 1973. Above all else, Anzac Day is an occasion for us all to reflect on how the peace and freedoms we all enjoy were won. As we look around us, it is difficult not to feel weighed down by the magnitude of the sacrifice that those who lie here made. But despair must not be our tribute to them. Rather, as we consider the enormity of their sacrifice, let us remember that their true and lasting legacy is the freedoms that we continue to enjoy to this day. Thank you. We continue our service today with the Castlemaine Highland Pipe Band, presenting Highland Cathedral.
My name's John Whitten, I'm the President. I'd like to welcome you here to the 2023 Anzac Day ceremony. First off, you might have read this in the paper, the local paper. World War II Corporal Maisie Douglas. She's not here today, but she made the grand old age of 100. And she's our oldest living veteran in the sub-branch. We're very... 1942. Vance joined the Royal New Zealand Air Force in 1944. By the time he finished training, the war was nearing its end, and he was demobilised in March 1946. Vance enlisted in the New Zealand Army and served in Japan as a member of J-Force. This was New Zealand's contribution to the British Commonwealth Occupation Force, helping to maintain law and order and rebuild Japan. Moving to Australia, Vance joined the Royal Australian Air Force in August 1951. He was posted to number 77 Squadron in Korea. Despite having received only limited training in air combat, he was awarded the US Air Medal for his courage, aggressive and tactical skills during aerial combat missions. On the 1st of December, Vance's Gloucester jet fighter was one of 3 shot down by the enemy MiG-15 fighter jets. The Gloucester jet fighter was no match for the MiG-15. He and his officer, Bruce Thompson, flying officer Bruce Thompson, ejected from the aircraft safely and parachuted into North Korea. The 3rd pilot was killed. Vance and Bruce were captured, held in nearby town and interrogated for 6 days. They were sent to Pynchon Prison, a war camp, where they were relieved to see the familiar faces of fellow Australian First Flight Lieutenant Gordon Harvey and Flying Officer Ron Guthrie. Vance's family did not hear of him becoming a prisoner until months later. Life in the camp was difficult. The prisoners were treated brutally by the guards, received inadequate food, medical treatment and clothing, and forced to do heavy labour. They faced extreme cold, with temperatures dropping to minus 20 degrees Celsius at night. Eventually, Vance, Bruce and 3 Americans decided to escape. Gathering emergency rations, compasses and water bottles, they prepared for their breaking up. On the night of the 11th of April 1952, dressed as North Koreans, the group escaped the compound. For 2 nights they made good progress, but they were spotted and recaptured. The Australians were harshly punished and all 5 were tried before a North Korean military court. After nearly 2 years as a prisoner of war, Vance was repatriated to Australia in September 1953. A fellow Australian Army officer, Maury Pears, spoke highly of these men who had been held as prisoners, saying that while in captivity, they fought battles of their own with great honour and courage. After the war, Vance married Margaret Buckingham. Promoted to squadron leader, he took charge of number 75 Squadron, Black Diamonds, aerobatic display team. They performed all around Australia, including at the 1962 Commonwealth Games in Perth. For his service in the RAAF, Vance was awarded the Air Force Cross. Vance then served with the US Air Force for 2 years, including a combat tour in Vietnam. He was a glutton for punishment. His leadership in the air and support of ground forces earned him the Distinguished Flying Cross of the South Vietnam Cross of Gallantry with the Silver Star. On the 17th of May 1967, during a training exercise off New South Wales coast, Vance's aircraft went into a dive and crashed into the sea. He died instantly. The following year, his wife took their 9-year-old son, David, to Government House to accept Vance's Distinguished Flying Cross. Despite his mistreatment as a prisoner of war in Korea, Vance did not tell his family of his suffering. In a letter to them, after 14 months as a prisoner, he simply wrote, "Just a few lines to let you know I'm good health." Well, he wasn't. "And to let you know you are constantly in my thoughts. Hoping this finds you well, and praying we will soon be together again." The Korean War began on the 25th of June 1950, when North Korea invaded South Korea. As part of the United Nations force, Australia supported South Korea against the Communist forces in North Korea. During the course of the war, 30 Australians became prisoners. Most were kept in terrible conditions, and one man, Private Horace Madden, died in captivity. Fighting in Korea ended when an armistice was signed on the 27th of July 1953. But hostilities continue to exist between North and South. Even today, the situation remains unresolved, with a state of war still existing between North and South. It's a sign of the times, troubled times. 1,200 had been wounded. Thank you. Lest we forget. Thank you, Alan.
Continue our service, we now welcome Emma Sayer, accompanied by Thompson's Foundry Band, to present our hymn for the day, "O God, our help in ages past." With all those who are able, please stand.
That was Emma Sayer there singing, guys.
I would like to begin by acknowledging the Dja Dja Wurrung people, the traditional custodians of the
mayor.
land on which we gather today, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander today, and to the many Indigenous people who serve and continue to serve in the Australian military forces.
Major crowd.
I would also like to acknowledge and honour the sacrifices made by all members of our armed forces, those who paid the ultimate price, those who returned with scars both seen and unseen, spoken and unspoken, and to all those family members and friends who waited at home for their loved ones gone to war, who supported our servicemen and women through good times and bad, we thank you for your service. Today, on Anzac Day, we gather to remember and commemorate those who have served to defend and protect Australia. We do this on April 25th, the anniversary of the day when Australian and New Zealand soldiers landed on the beach in Gallipoli in 1915. This was the first major military campaign for the Anzacs, and 2,000 Australian soldiers were killed or wounded that day 108 years ago, as well as many, many more over the duration of what was originally called not the First World War, but the Great War. Anzac Day began in 1916 as a way for Australians and New Zealanders to honour the original Anzacs who fought and died at Gallipoli. Over the years it has evolved, becoming a day for all who served in the First World War, then including those who served in the Second World War, conflicts and peacekeeping operations that have followed. Today, Anzac Day is a reflection and remembrance, a day to pay tribute to the courage and sacrifice of all those who have worn our country's uniform in service. Today, on Anzac Day, we stand together to recognise all those Australians who lost their lives in military operations. We remember the values that have been invested in the original Anzacs: courage, loyalty, selflessness and mateship. Today we reflect on our history, but also remember the ongoing impacts of war throughout the world. It is important that on this day of remembrance, we also consider those who are currently serving and the sacrifices they and their families are making. I thank for providing the music, which is so stirring on this of all days. As we commemorate Anzac Day today, let us not only remember the sacrifices made by those who have gone before us, but also imagine and strive to create a world where war is not necessary. Thank you.
That was our local mayor, guys.
Thank you, Rosie.
My friend Maggie.
He's a drover, drifting on the western plains. He's a city lad, a clock down Flinders Lane. They're in the trenches at Lone Pine and on the Flanders firing line. A band of ordinary men. He's one of them. He's one of us, born beneath the Southern Cross. Side by side, we say with pride, he's all of them. He's one of us. Da 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 da. He's a pilot on a midnight bombing raid. able seaman on the Armadale. She's a nurse in Vietnam. They're on patrol in Kurdistan. Sons and daughters rise into the call. She's one of them. She's one of them. Born beneath the Southern Cross. Side by side, we say with pride, he's all of them. She's all of them. They're all of us. Da 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 da. Da da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da. Da da da. Da 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 da. Spirit of the Anzacs, so strong and brave. Spirit of the Anzacs will go on and on and on and on and on. He's one of them. He's one of us, born beneath the Southern Cross. Side by side, we say with pride, he is all of them. She is all of them. They're all of us. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da.
Thank you, mate. And I would now ask Senator Brown to please stand down.
Pawns in a game of chess for the politicians of the world, a number, a statistic, not treated as the sons, husbands, and fathers they were. As they sailed away from home, some thought it would be a triple wave, a chance to go overseas, beat out the Turks in a week or so, and come home heroes. They didn't know they were sailing into an awaiting ambush. 2,000 men, some even younger than I, died on that first day in Gallipoli. 2,000. Age shall not weary them, and for their valour we will remember them. Today we not only commemorate those who died, but accordingly those who live. Today we cherish the peace that not only the Anzacs brought, but all soldiers who fought that frightful war. Peace, a word so simple, so natural, so taken for granted nowadays, we sometimes overlook the utmost anguish it took to get it. Anguish, pain, suffering, slaughter. So many words and not one to describe the horrors of war, of loss. We remember the generation of those who served in the First World War, for whom the war it felt had yielded for naught, as their children came to fight not long after in World War II. We remember the children of those children, and we attempt to heal the intergenerational trauma that yielded from decades of war. I thank those who fought for their sacrifice, for what they gave to provide a brighter future for generations like us. I am grateful, I am inspired by their courage, for because of their sacrifice, young women like Lucy and I get to dream, get to hope, get to live our lives however we may please. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
We are meeting here today on Dja Dja Wurrung land. We acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and we pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Lucy and I am honoured to be here those who served, and those who continue to serve. Remembrance is important, not only to keep the memory of those who fought at Gallipoli Peninsula alive, but also to keep the ideals that they fought for alive, and to serve as a reminder of the horrific truths of war. As a young person in 21st century Australia, the idea of a world war seems so removed from my life, and it is heartbreaking to think that men and women my age suffered the horrors of war, and many gave their lives, cut far too short, in order to defend the country that they considered home. As Australians, we are largely a country of immigrants, but it is important to include in our remembrance the many Indigenous servicemen who fought in the First and Second World Wars without being legally recognised as citizens of their own country. We are taught the dates in school, but it is hard to comprehend the tragedy, sorrow and futility that was reality for the Anzacs, beginning on the 25th of April, 1915. The 25th is not just a date to be remembered in exams, but a time to honour the over 103,000 Australians who have sacrificed their lives in our country's name over Australia's total involvement in conflict. Over 10 million lives were lost in the First World War. When looking at the scale of the world wars and all subsequent wars that Australia has had involvement in, it is very easy to overlook the individual stories, the individual characters, the individual sons, daughters and loved ones. It is very easy to wander around our town, to walk past these memorials without pausing or even considering the momentous sacrifice that they represent. It is so important that the history of the Anzacs continue to be taught in schools, ensuring that remembrance is passed down through the generations. The names on our memorials and honour rolls must never be forgotten, lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Fernando, on behalf of the Federal Member for Bendigo, Lisa Chesters, and Sam Kane, on behalf of the Member for Bendigo West, Marie Edwards. Dennis Cox on behalf of the Castlemaine Legacy Group, and Janine McHugh for the Bolton Dealer VC. David Farrell on behalf of the 2nd 22nd Battalion and POWs on Montevideo, Peru, and the 6th Battalion, 1st ALS. Councillor Rosie Elliott on behalf of the Mayor and Alexander Shire. SES Castlemaine. London Prison. Castlemaine Rotary Club and Castlemaine Lions Club. And the Mount Alexander Private Club. St John Ambulance.
Thank you, Adam. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Thank you, Alan.
to acknowledge the support and assistance given to Castlemaine RSL by many groups and schools, and we thank them for being a part of our service. Please accept, on behalf of the RSL, our sincere thanks. In closing, the Castlemaine RSL extends an invitation for all to join us in the Memorial Hall for light refreshments, for which we thank the ladies of the Women's Auxiliary here in Castlemaine. They do a tremendous job getting all this stuff together. Thank you to the people of Castlemaine and those visiting and attending our service today, and for supporting our RSL by donating and purchasing Anzac badges. Thank you very much.
That concludes the service, guys. Like and subscribe, and hope you enjoyed Anzac Day. Lest we forget. Light refreshments, guys. Yum. All that, guys.
That was lovely, that thing I had.
Thank you.